What's going on, good people? Welcome back to the Contractor Secrets podcast. My name's Tanner Mullen, the founder of Drip Jobs and also host of this podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about the 4 C's of building a successful team. So I'm going to give it to you straight. You have got to be focused on building a team. This needs to be a core competency for you as a business owner. Building a team really is a skill set that I've developed over many years of being in business. Now, I'm not going to say this was when I owned a business. I'm going to even take you back to when I was bussing tables at a restaurant at the age of 16. And the aspect of team building really came about in a restaurant for me, because essentially in a restaurant, you have 2 teams. You have the front of the house and you have the back of the house. And these 2 teams have to work together in order to get to the end goal. And I think one of the things that I loved about the restaurant is that, there was a victory that occurred during the restaurant, a crazy night, like maybe a Friday night, Saturday night. Our manager would huddle all the servers and bussers in the back, and the cooks, the kitchen manager, everyone would be there, and he'd give a little speech and he'd say, "All right, guys, listen. We have 200 on the books tonight. It's going to get crazy. I'm here if you need me. Let's make sure we remember our upsells. Let's make sure we remember, whatever it is that we're trying to do that evening, or, whatever experience we were trying to create." And I just remember thinking, like, that was so valuable for me. I always loved the aspect of team, of camaraderie, of everybody being on the same page. And as a leader of a business, I think more than ever, you need to be aware of how creating a team atmosphere impacts all the individuals in your organization. And I think the key component of a team is the individuals that make up the team, and the quality of those individuals and the quality of their standards. I've been in a position where when I first started out in my painting business, I didn't have team players. I had individuals that were the opposite of team players. They were very egotistical. They knew it all. They were really experienced. So someone like me, although yes, I was the business owner, they would not take my leadership seriously. Or I had individuals that just didn't want to be a part of a team. And it just kind of just hurt our energy, our flow. So about a year and a half in, I really started to make this a focus. I wanted to recruit individuals that I could mold into a really strong team. And if you look at our reviews, you would notice that, most people who leave a review, you go do this, Google Premium Painting in Ocala and go check us out on Google and look at what the reviews say. It's all about the team. And the core components, we're going to get into the 4 components of a great team. I'm going to say this, that number 1 is going to be character. Character. I define character, and this was written on the walls of my elementary school. I remember this from so long ago. But character is who you are when no one's looking. And I think if we were to outline our perfect star player for our painting business or whatever business you own, it's going to be somebody that looks out for the company's best interest even when they're not expected to, right? And I think that needs to be reflected in you as a leader. There's been many times in my business where I had the opportunity to cut a corner. I had the opportunity to cut a corner financially. I could have cut corners when it came to shaving hours or not paying that little bonus that somebody probably forgot about. But I always made it a point to operate with integrity as a leader. Why? Because everything reproduces out of its own kind. Even though no one's going to know half of the things that I could have gotten away with as a business owner, my moral compass doesn't allow me to sway, because I know for a fact that if I continue to sow the seeds of integrity and character in my dealings with my team, they will reciprocate that by nature. And if they don't, they'll pop up as weeds and we'll be able to spot it and rip it out, right? Because everything that I want in my business needs to be done with integrity. Everything. What we say and what we do need to be in complete alignment. And what I think as a leader needs to be in complete alignment. So then, therefore, I can be in a position to manage individuals with high character. In other words, you can't tell someone to operate with character within your business if you're doing things that aren't integral. I'm going to give you an example of this. When I first started coaching contractors, I can't believe I'm saying this, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was enlightening to me to see how many people don't get the right insurances, right? In other words, they don't want to pay for workers' comp, or they don't want to make their workers employees. And to me, that's not operating at a high standard. That's not good character as a leader, because you're not looking out for the best interest of the people that come to work for you every day. Now, this is a topic for a different time, but for me, it starts with you, right? So having a team that has strong character comes from you, because if you have strong character, you're going to know what to look for when you're recruiting individuals, right? You can't see in someone else what you don't possess in yourself. So for me, it's all about character, every bit of it, having a strong team, because ultimately what happens is your goal as a business owner is to recruit individuals with great character, so then they can ultimately blossom into leaders. And this allows you to duplicate, right? This allows you to multiply your organization and keep the standard high as you do that. There's many companies that can multiply, right? And I'm going to do a humble brag here and say that we've maintained a 5.0 rating. And for me, I'm extremely ecstatic about that. I hope at the time that you're listening, it's still 5.0. We do everything we can to maintain that. But I'll say the reason that's possible at scale is because the growth was natural, and the individuals that I place in leadership positions, which means they make decisions, which ultimately goes back to what my definition of character is, which is making choices and decisions when no one's looking, even if you're not going to be rewarded for it, but you're doing it because that's who you are, okay? And they're the ones that are growing the company, right? There's good people that are making decisions on our behalf within our organization, okay? And this stems from character, right? So in order to attract individuals of high character, right, that take care of their responsibilities, that are of high quality, right, that value a strong workplace, that value a strong leader, you need to be the individual that has the utmost character, because you're the one, well, you're the one that manages the money. Let's put it that way. Let's just get to it. It's the money, right? Generally speaking, money is the greatest temptation that will challenge you to compromise your character. So how do you deal with money? How do you handle money? Do you nickel and dime everything? Do you try to get away with one? Do you cut hours? Do you shave time off the timesheets to save money? Or do you just do what you're supposed to do as a steward of the resources within your business, right? Because we can't just talk about the four qualities, the 4 core competencies of a great team if we don't talk about character. Yes, the team members are the ones that make up the character, but again, let's get back to it. You're a part of that team, right? And I imagine you're listening to this. I just hope that you operate with integrity in all your dealings, because the seeds that you sow now will reap the fruits of the future. Sow good seeds. So next, number 2, core competency number 2 is going to be care. I would say care is a subcategory of character, right? For me, care is, everyone looking out for one another, right? And I think there's a component of empathy when it comes into care. I take team very seriously in my business. Someone works for me, I'm looking out for their best interest. They're part of my family. That's just the way I see it. You don't have to see it that way. That's totally fine. But for me, it's like, dude, if you got something going on in your life, I want to know about it, right? So I can have a better understanding of what's going on, so I can possess empathy, and then I can reason better when an instance comes up where you're not operating at, high standard, right? I want to know what's going on. And there's been so many instances in my almost 9 years of being in business where people have had life happen to them. And as a leader, for me, it's like I care about the people that come into my into my world. Like, I want to know what's going on. I want to know how your family's doing. I want to know, what's going on in your life. I want to know what goals you have. I want to know what's troubling you. I mean, I look for opportunity to connect with my team so I can understand these things better. And this isn't just because I just want to check the box of I care. It's because I really care. I can't teach you that, right? But don't expect to lead a team if this isn't a part of your nature to actually care about people, because you ultimately, just putting it out there, like, you kind of control their life when it comes to their finances. You have the ability through your demeanor, you have the ability through your words to control whether or not they have a good or bad day when they get home and they have to greet their kids and their family. What type of stress are you imposing on that individual? And is it warranted, or is it because you haven't done a good job putting together the right systems in your business and that's causing stress and frustration? Or are you taking on projects that are overwhelming the individuals on your team when you shouldn't be taking on those projects, but you're looking out for your own best interest rather than what's the best for your team? Self-reflection is a leader's trait, something that you should think about. But for me, it's care. Because here's the deal. Guess what happens? I've instilled such a culture of care, because I do care, into my team, that guess what winds up happening? They start caring about each other. See, in other words, we don't create competition within our organization. I don't do that. We don't do competition. We don't do gossip. We don't do competition. Anytime someone tries to bring to me one of those two things about competitive nature within a team, okay, it's a dead end. Don't even talk to me about it, right? That's just what I've created. What type of culture are you creating when it comes to competition, and when it comes to gossip, when it comes to that sort of negativity that can impact your team? No, everyone has each other's backs, right? And this could easily happen. And I know you're listening to this and maybe you have this sort of experience, but I have 4 crews going on right now. And for me, it would be easy for me to foster an environment of competition, right? But guess what? For me, I understand that maybe one crew might be doing something really well for the first few weeks, but that's not going to last forever. So let's make sure that we're helping out the other crews along the way. Let's make sure that if I elevate someone to a management position and I have someone already in a management position, that person isn't scared that they're going to lose their job because I elevated someone. No, we're going to collaborate and we're going to share ideas and we're going to help each other be better. Let's make sure that if someone's a crew leader and I elevate someone up, that they don't fear for their job, right? So care. It's just care. It's caring about what your employees think based on the moves that you make, or what your team members think based on the moves that you make. As a leader, care. And that care is going to translate, right? So if we foster a community within our business of individuals that care for each other, right? So they have high character, good character, they care about each other. Guess what that means? That means they're going to pour that in. They're going to send it down the line, right? And where's that go? To the customer. So you have high quality individuals with good character that care about one another, that have each other's backs. Guess where it comes from? Me, right? So if I operate with high integrity as a leader, if I do everything by the book, because that's how business should be done, if I care about the individuals and what's going on in their life, they wind up caring about each other. And next thing you know, guess what happens? The customer receives the fruits of that, and it gets reciprocated. And the customer experiences the energy that happens on that job site where everyone's got each other's backs. You know how many people have told me that they've had people come work for them and there's like this animosity happening on the job site in their home, or arguments happening? Now, I'm not going to say we've been perfect for 9 years. I can't say that. A couple of things have happened, but for the vast majority of time, there's been a general consensus of we've got each other's backs, teammates helping in. I've had individuals that finished their jobs early after a long week of working and volunteered to go help out another crew that was struggling to finish. Like that sort of stuff. It's very hard to put in the words, but it happens when you foster that sort of culture, that sort of culture of growth, but also collaboration, right? Core competency number 3, This one's a big one. Courage. Okay. This comes from you as a leader, but this is an element of team that's so important, is that when you think of a team, you think that every team has a leader, right? Every good team has some sort of leader. In football, you got the head coach, the quarterback. There's an element of courage that needs to come from you as a leader. That first element is going to be, making decisions and confidently making decisions, even though no one else is there to coddle you as you make them. Not being afraid to make the wrong decision, right? And being courageous enough to backtrack when you mess up and be vulnerable. Be honest with you, I think vulnerability is courageous. I think there's been many times in my business where I've made a wrong decision in front of my team, and I said, I messed up on this. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it even happened today. Like, I ordered the paint for this project that we don't normally do, but it was within our range, and I ordered the wrong primer. And I just talked to my project manager. I said, yeah, I messed up on that. Like, that was me. And I think you got to create an environment of vulnerability within your business too, because mistakes happen. Like, you can't expect people to be perfect. So for me, being courageous in that regard is being vulnerable, showing that it's okay to make mistakes without anyone fearing for their job, right? I also think there's a component of courage when you fire someone and be bold about it because they are not the right fit for your organization, even though they might produce good work, right? I've had that happen. I've had individuals who are incredible at their craft, but guess what? They're not a good culture fit. So although, yes, I could profit from that person, no one likes working with them. That's courage, okay? Courage is facing a situation head on, not running from situations. We forgot a touch-up that was scheduled for weeks. We missed it. Just calling the customer and say, we messed up. Hoping that they show a little grace. That happens, right? So creating an environment of courage. And again, what does that do? It goes right to the team. They can make decisions without being scared, right? Allowing them a little window of risk. This is how you create leaders within your organization, right? So if I am in charge of the entire organization, I'm going to have many teams of leaders that have a small window of risk that they're allowed to take, and they learn how to take risks through me, and they learn how to treat their team members through me, and they learn what not to do through me, right? And this allows me to multiply. I get asked a lot, Tanner, how do you manage drip jobs? How do you manage premium painting? Well, the good news is I don't paint anything. I was thinking the other day, I don't even have a paintbrush. If I had to paint, seriously, I do not have a paintbrush. This is crazy, but it's also, it makes sense because I've just focused so hard on building people up. I'm a team guy, right? I want people to win. I want people to be able to pay their bills. I want them to be able to take care of their families. I want them to come to an environment of work that feels like growth. We're not drinking, right? We're not at the bar. We're not doing any of that. We're coming to work. I want their spouses to know that when their husband goes to work, he's going to come back a little bit better because he was held to a standard. That's what I want to create. What are you creating? You gossiping on the job, right? You alienating people, right? You trying to be too friendly with your employees and trying to make friends. When does that ever work out? It doesn't. You have a responsibility, right? Especially you being a younger entrepreneur. Chances are you're young. I saw my demographic who listens to this podcast. It's pretty young, 25 to 35. Chances are you employ people that are older than you. Sorry, you have to be the one that's disciplined. The rewards are plenty though. So I suggest you start aligning your business in a way that is of high standard. So all you attract and the only people that come your way are of high standard, right? Team environment, we talked about it. Character, we talked about it. Care, courage, right? Number 4, last one, conscientiousness. Conscientiousness, right? For me, it's an element of awareness of what's going on, okay? And I think I'm going to probably say that this is an element of having character, but like having awareness is so important as a business owner. Being able to I would say when I used to play video games, I used to play Madden, right? Madden football. The running backs that had the highest level of awareness, right? Those were the running backs that could see a threat coming and maneuver quicker than the other running backs, right? So his awareness level was high, right? He could look around and he could see the threats that are coming in. Boom, 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 right? So having awareness is important. It means that you're thinking ahead. It means that you're identifying potential, I would say risk, but also problems, and you're maneuvering in a way that allows you to avoid that problem due to proper planning. Element of care, but more detailed, is having a conscientious team is so important. Having people that are thinking beyond their role is important. And how do you achieve that? Well, you need to be someone that thinks beyond what's expected of you as a business owner. In other words, I'll give you a really good example of the level of awareness and conscientiousness that I have that is very hard to put into words, but I'm going to try. Having awareness of the type of customers that you're selling jobs to, having awareness of the personalities that they have, having awareness of the personality types of the crew leaders that you have, and having awareness of the type of personalities that your project managers have, and then positioning the project managers based on their personalities with the crew leaders, okay, that align with those personalities, and then hiring people and positioning them with the crew leader that they fit best with. And then when it comes to scheduling jobs, choosing the crew and the project manager that best fits the type of customer that you sold a job to. That level of conscientiousness to create the best possible experience, and then having a leader on the job that's conscientious about what the big vision of the organization is, aligning their actions and decisions to maintain the pursuit of that vision, right? So for example, if we have a high-strung customer, someone that's been calling the office 5 or 6 times before the job starts, I'm giving that customer to my best project manager, Shamel. Why? Because I know his personality, and I know that he's going to give that tender love and care that customer needs. He's very communicative. He's going to outline everything he's going to do. He's going to outline the process. He's going to check in with them frequently, and he's going to do a great job. And then I'm probably going to give him one of my excellent crews that are maybe really great at one element of the project, depending on what it is. And that conscientiousness is going to stumble down the line. I'm going to say, hey, Bo, this customer has been calling quite often. They're a little nervous about this project. When you get there, I want you to spend some time outlining the best way to go about the project, right? That level of conscientiousness. And that level of conscientiousness is an element of care about the overall vision of the organization, right? So I'm just giving you some examples here because I want you to understand that these 4 elements are so important. You're not going to grow if you can't develop and nurture a team. I don't care if you're doing subcontractors or not. I'm an employee guy. I think employees is the best way to run a painting business. I think the fear behind employees is exactly what we're covering today, is the fact that what I went over with you is work. It requires you to be fully invested into individuals rather than renting help. I know that might be controversial, but for me, if you're talking impact, you can't really get any better than having a team of employees that you've employed for years and given them opportunities and help them elevate within your company. Is there a place for subcontractors? Sure. And I'm sure there's times where you can create a really good subcontractor relationship. But if you really want to impact as a leader, the employee model has that for you. It does require you to be better. You have to have the pressure of keeping people busy, right? You are directly responsible for their income. A subcontractor relationship, you could just be like, hey man, I don't have any work this week, and you have no guilt. To me, I don't like that. I kind of want the pressure. I want to build that team. I want to build that organization. I want to build that culture. I want people to wear our logo. I want them to come to work with a purpose and a mission and a brand that they can be proud of. Hopefully my teammates will say that we've achieved that. But again, we'll get into We'll get into growth maybe in another episode. So going over the 4 core competencies of leadership, and when it comes to a team, is going to be character, it's going to be care, it's going to be conscientiousness, right? Big one. And of course, courage. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope it helps you maybe reframe your approach to when it comes to building a team. I'd love to hear your feedback. So whatever you're watching this on, comment. If you're on Spotify, you can comment. If you're on YouTube, you can comment. If you're on Instagram and you got, if you see this somehow, comment, right? And be on the lookout, guys. We got Liftoff 2025. That's coming. The landing page should be up pretty soon. 25.com. I'm bringing in 24 speakers to give you rapid fire value to help take your business to the next level. Thanks again. See you.